created the game, you made the rules. I played my part, but I refuse to stay the fool. You can break my heart, but you can't break me. I'm rising up, I'm reaching out, I'm soaring free. I'm soaring free. I am the phoenix, rising up from flame and ashes. I will rebuild the world, but everyone is precious. You have the matches, you have the flame. You can light this world on fire, but I will rise again. I am the phoenix, watch me rise again.
I didn't want you to walk away, but I won't force you to stay. I never want you to regret the day we met, and so I won't betray the trust we built, so I'll just say, no matter where you are, no matter where you hide, no matter what you've done, my love for you will still abide. You remain my only one. I'll keep a place for you by my side. Whenever you need me, I'll be around, no matter how far. Wherever you're found, my love will be waiting, safe and sound. You've nothing to fear, I won't keep you bound. My love's a strong foundation, built on solid ground. No matter where you run, no matter where you hide, no matter what you've done, you to be happy, even if it isn't with me. I want you to be happy, so I'll set you free. I want you to be happy, one day I hope you'll see. Real love needs no lock and key. I want you to be happy, it isn't love if you are free. No matter where you run, no matter where you hide, no matter what you've done, my love for you will still abide. You remain my only one. I'll keep a place for you by my side. I don't want you to walk away, but I won't force you to stay. I'd rather you be happy, I'd rather you be free, even if it's without me. Needs no lock and key. I want you to be happy. It isn't love if you aren't free. rather you be free, even if
Me. Woohoo! Alright. Webcam up. Yay! Alright, our audio's on, our webcam's up. It's time for some real talk. My hair is a mess. Forgive me, Lord. Oh my goodness. So we'll start off telling you the story of the registerable vehicle. It's not really unregisterable. It's okay, so it starts on Monday. We've got the bill of sale. We've got everything we think we need, right? So the only thing we don't have is insurance. So after the stream, people are so incredibly generous. It's so amazing. Everybody shows up. Everybody basically participates in helping us. We get the insurance. I find it for $60 so that we still have some, because understand, when you contribute to YouTube through super chats, YouTube holds on to it for a month and takes 30%. So we don't have access to about $100 of the $200 that was sent over. So we have $200 to work with. I managed to find insurance that only costs $60. So now we're insured, but we have $130 left. We have a obligation that I had to take care of that cost another $20. So now we're down to $105, which the site says is enough to register the vehicle. I did the calculations. It said it should be $75. Okay, fine, good. I scheduled the appointment because you have to schedule an appointment in Iowa. You can't just do a walk-in for a title transfer. So I scheduled the appointment. The next day, Mia's supposed to be gone. There shouldn't be any childcare issues, nothing like that. Our son disappears right when we're supposed to have our appointment. Like, okay, well, that's a little odd. Hopefully he'll be back. But he wasn't. So I had to reschedule. And I wanted to reschedule for later that afternoon, but they didn't have an appointment for later that afternoon, so I had to schedule for Tuesday. Okay, no problem, no big deal. Tuesday, they definitely, that was Tuesday. So Tuesday, they definitely were supposed to be gone, but then Ed's out of the house again. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a little odd. So, no, Tuesday is the first appointment we had because Monday night is when we got all the money and got everything taken care of. Tuesday's the first time we had a scheduled appointment. So I had to reschedule it for Wednesday. Okay, no problem, no big deal. So Wednesday comes, and I go to the appointment. I have to take a lift to get there because my son is having to take care of Mia because they didn't make it out of town on time. I didn't know why, so he was having to do daycare. They were also trying to register their vehicle and having trouble with it. But at any rate, so I get to the appointment on time with 3 minutes to spare. I'm very proud of myself. I get called to the counter. I think I've got everything. But because my driver's license is not an Iowa license, they insisted on one piece of paper that I almost always have in my wallet, but didn't have that day. My social security card. F. Okay, I tell her, reschedule me. She says, okay, you can have an appointment tomorrow at 12:45. Perfect, that works great. All right, I'll come back. I take the bus home. I get home around 3:30-ish. I'm tired. It took a 22-minute walk from the bus stop to the home, but that wasn't that big a deal. I've walked further and longer, so it's not that horrible. But at any rate, so I get home. I find my social security card. I put that thing in my wallet, make double, triple sure this time. Get to the appointment today. My son was able to take me. Hooray! I'm there 3 minutes early. Look down and it says 12:15. And then I notice it doesn't say 3:05. It says 3:06 at 12:15. I'm like, what the heck, man? So I go up to the counter to see if they have any appointments possible. Nope, of course not. So I'm just going to have to go back tomorrow. Great. So that's where we are with the car. All I want to do is give them money and get my vehicle registered. All I'm trying to do is get this thing street legal. And there we go. It just keeps, every time something just keeps coming. Who knows why? I mean, God knows why, but and I'm sure it'll work out in our favor. You know, there'll be something that comes up. Yes, exactly. Why is it so hard to give someone money? Yeah, jeez Louise. I mean, I will say though, it's a huge blessing. We were able to get the car for $500. It was listed for 1,000. She herself volunteered to negotiate down to 500, and I said yes, that would be fantastic because we're really operating on a shoestring, and that made it better for my son. He, stretched himself. Talk about the shut up and take my money meme. Exactly. Like, dear state of Iowa, why do you make it so hard to pay you? Can't I just, and you would think about it, like, can't I just scan paperwork? Do we have to do walk-in appointments anymore? Why are we having to do walk-in appointments anyway? Why are we having to do appointments anyway? Why can't we just walk in like normal people? But there you go. I mean, it's crazy. Seriously crazy. But yeah, so that's been our life. Now, Randy mentioned on stream, he has an offer letter from Moore, Minnesota, so we are looking at that as one possible place. They had a tourism coordinator position listed on their site, and I was like, okay, it's a part-time position. I could probably do that, and they don't have too many demanding requirements for it, and it actually would work well for me because it plugs me into the community and gives me the ability to leverage some of my networking skills to build connections and to possibly do some other things. So I was like, okay, sure, this is good. So I started filling out the paperwork, and that's when I noticed the closing date was actually February 27th. So I was like, okay, well, this position might not even be open for applicants. So I reach out to the lady. I'm like, look, if this position's already closed and you're not still accepting applications, by all means, tell me to go away. But my husband's in talks with your local radio station, and I feel like I'd be a good fit. And here's a little summary of my qualifications. If you're interested, let me know. She shoots me back an email that next morning and says, the position's not closed, and we'd love to see your application. So I spent yesterday afternoon, after getting back from DMV, the Treasury office actually is where you fill out your registration, going ahead and filling out the paperwork for that, putting together my resume and sending it over. So we'll see. I mean, it could work out. That could be nice. A part-time job would definitely plug me into the community, give me some opportunities. Hey, Timmy! And then, it would work well with his job because, he's going to be ops manager of the radio station. So I would probably be seeing him a lot and working with him a lot too. Because, radio is a big part of trying to attract tourists. And one of the things I've noticed about Moore, Minnesota is their social media, they haven't touched their YouTube channel in like 4 years. Their tourism YouTube channel and their economic development council doesn't have regularly scheduled meetings and absolutely no paperwork as to what's going on. So they need the help. I think I could actually be a decent blessing. I haven't done any job searching at Manitoba yet. Or actually, I haven't. I say that. That's not true. I did look through. They have 128 job listings. And I did see a couple that I might go ahead and apply for. I think those are seasonal positions, most of them that are up there, because Manitoba is right on the Great Lakes, and they probably have a lot of people who come in for fishing and stuff during the summertime and then basically empty out when the fall hits. That's what I'm thinking is probably going the case and everything, but I won't know until I, get it more research done. And so that's kind of where I am in life. How are you doing, Timmy? How's life going on your side of things? Glad to see you're still alive and kicking, my brother. I have you in my daily prayers, just like I have all of you. You too, Boomer. By name, you have been prayed over. So but Randy's got his first face-to-face scheduled for the 16th of this month, and that is with the people in Manitowoc. Yeah, yeah. It does to me too, Boomer. It does to me too. I mean, it's a smaller town, and that's part of our hesitation. It doesn't have as many transportation routes. That's also part of it. Like, it's an hour away from an airport, an international airport. It's not on a direct bus or train line. You have to drive to get to it. So it's pretty isolated. But a few things happened to kind of make me lean more in the direction of more. And one of those is I was, listening to Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike Schmitz, and there's a proverb on the time of the small things. Let me look it up. It's do not despise the day of the small things. And it's in Zechariah 4:10, right? And it's a passage that encourages us to value the humble beginning, to value moments that can seem not worth your time or effort because of how small they look, but actually can lead to much, much greater things if you put in the work and you devote yourself to it. And I feel like that was kind of a sign, because I had been praying for discernment over where we should go. And that was right in there. That was that day's Bible reading, one of them. And then on top of that, yeah, exactly. Put me where you need to be. Hasn't steered you wrong yet. Yep. One of my favorite prayers to do is, Lord, open my eyes and help me see what I need to see to get where you need me to be. Not where I think I need to be, but where you need me to be. And thank you for reminding me of that, because I should probably pray that again. But at any rate, so there was that. And then at that moment, it was like I just felt this sense of peace about the whole thing, and realized I should look at this less as a job and more as a mission opportunity. Like, this is my mission to go to this community to find, because for a while now, I have wanted to go into communities that are impoverished and teach them how to find the opportunities in their problems, how to build enterprises based off of problems they know how to solve, things that God taught me to do. Because, back before I ever had a business of my own, I had tried so many things and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed and tried again. And I was so discouraged. And then, it ultimately, the first business I had came out of helping people solve the problem of writing. So it was me putting my problem solving skills to work for somebody else. And most people have that ability. They have a problem that other people are interested in solving, and they've found a solution to it that may be unique to them. And if they put it to work for others, it can be quite lucrative depending on what they are doing. But they may not have the guidance, they may not have the support, they may not have the know-how. Well, if I step into this small community and make sure that part of what I do is reach out to the community members who are struggling the most and help them put their skills and gifts and talents to work for the community, then everybody benefits. And that's kind of the concept I had. I was going to do this as a traveling kind of thing where I would go community to community and do that, but maybe God's pointing me in the direction of this and saying, hey, start here. Work this town first. And when you have proven that you can handle this town and help this town, then more will come your way. So it's kind of what I'm thinking. It's possible that, Manitowoc is the place for us. It is a bigger city. The love that you bring takes you where you're going to be. Yep, absolutely. What your heart has in store for you is often, you're always prepared for the assignment that God sends you to accomplish. You know, it's usually in your history, in your background, problems you solved, things you've overcome. That's the pointer in the direction of where you should go. And God's given me plenty of small town experience, plenty of community development experience, plenty of overcoming poverty experience, so that I can really help those who are in need see themselves in a different light. Let's see. City data is one of, from Morris, Minnesota. So let's tell you a little bit about this place. I guess this is going to be my first efforts at promoting it. It's got 49% males, 50% females. The median age is 31.6 years of age. So it's a pretty young town, actually. The median household income is $62,000. I'm sure that's because there's a lot of people who work for the university. In fact, the University of Minnesota Morris is the main attraction for that. Let's see. The estimated per capita income is $37,000, so it's a little lower. Estimated median house or condo value is $200,000, and the estimated cost of living is 75.7% of the U.S. average. So we got, 70% black, 11% white, 11% Hispanic, 100% American Indian. I don't know how you accomplish that. 15.7% other races. And, it's a really kind of a, I guess actually I could be polite and share my screen. Yep. But, so yeah. Or actually, you know what? Races in Morris is 73% white, correction. Black is actually 3% of the population. Hispanic is 14%. And then, so it's, and this is, I should be polite and actually show you what I'm looking at, so you guys are getting a feel for it too. Let's see. I'll turn off my webcam for a minute and just let you look at it. So this is its size, and if we zoom in here, you can kind of see that there's a lake and a water, three lakes. That's not uncommon for Minnesota. They are, well, the land of lakes, basically. Lakes all around. Yeah. They, and their housing is about 100 to 200,000 versus the Minnesota average of 328,000. And Morris makes about 62,000 versus the Minnesota average of 85. They're younger than most of the people in Minnesota. These are some pictures we can see overlooking the city park. So not bad looking place. That's their one theater. Not exactly the biggest place in the history of ever, obviously. Let's see. Wind turbines. They've got one, apparently. And that's the downtown business district. I love that they've got that old-timey car right there. A couple of views from there. Kids at skate park. Okay. So you're getting a feel for the kind of place this is. Go dark again. There you go. Just really small town America. Hey, Linda! Good to see you. How is life going today? You missed us telling you the saga of the car registration, which we'll have to wrap up tomorrow. It's been 5 days we've been trying to get this stupid vehicle registered. And every time we go to do it, something happens. So, first of all, we discover on Monday that you had to have an appointment. Yeah, there does seem to be a music store. Now, the only bookstore in that town is at the university, which, that's not the worst thing. It's not the best thing, but it's not the worst thing. Um, hey, Tame, you don't have to worry about being ornery. I come from a long line of ornery people. That's that's my stock and trade there, being stubborn and ornery. Just ask God. He'll tell you all about that. So yeah, that's our little town there that we might be moving to. And it doesn't have what I prefer, which is mountains, but few things do 6 hours away from West Des Moines. It's a little much to hope that we would land in mountain territory. Let's see some detailed information about the poverty rate. It's got 15%. It's a pretty decent, it's higher than the average. You've got 15.9% in below the poverty level. 10% or 50% below poverty level. Let's see. And the renting rate among the poor, 92.4% of rentals are among poor residents. So that doesn't really surprise me. 43.5% are kids 12 to 14, 18 to 24 are the 18 to 24-year-olds, which is not surprising, 66.7%. Oh, yeah. No, I love that, Boomer. I would love to be back. We used to live in Elko, and we lived in Denver, so, two mountain states. And we loved Elko is literally nestled in between the Ruby Mountain ranges, and it is gorgeous. I've just never ever failed to love being in the mountains. Yeah. And Denver was beautiful, but it stank, literally, because they allowed marijuana in and everybody smoked it everywhere. They didn't care. So yeah, a lot of poverty in Morris, which is good, because that means that my skills will be needed if that's where we end up. And I guess I could compare this to the other town and let you know. Yeah, I can imagine, Linda. I can only imagine what you're going through right now. I don't know what it's like to lose a child, but I can imagine it. And it's not something as parents that we ever feel like we should have to go through, but a couple of things that I will say on that subject matter is that, first of all, our job as a parent is not to get our children to old age. That is what we want to believe the job is, but that is not the actual job. The job is to get our children into the arms of Christ and see them in heaven. That is our job. And if she died with the love of Christ in her heart, you did your job. And the second thing I will say is that we have to remember that the body is what dies. Love never dies. So even though you will not see her physically, her love is still with you. And as long as you make sure that you tell her story, she continues to have the impact in this world that she was born to have. So that's my thoughts on the matter. And I wish that I had words that could take away the pain. But I know that that is not a possibility. But there's nothing that I could say or do that would make it hurt less. That's the price we pay for love. The losses hurt. And I think they're supposed to. They're meant to hurt. But because our brains tell us the truth. Our brains tell us death was not supposed to be for us. This wasn't supposed to be how it was. And we know it instinctively. We can't deny it. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Nobody was supposed to die. And so the pain that we feel is that reminder that this isn't how it was supposed to be. But thanks to Christ, we know that death is not the end of the story. It's just a new chapter. So I hope that gives you, I mean, I can't, like I said, there's nothing I could say that could ever make it better. But I can only imagine how much you miss her. But like I said, if she died in Christ, we know that she's not dead. She lives in him. She's still there for you. She's still there with you. Because love never dies. And that's what we become when we turn our lives over to Christ, is walking love. Major medical appointments are about 100 miles away through the mountains, and it takes about 3 hours to get there. Yeah, I hear that, Boomer. I hear that. If you were a cancer patient in Elko, you were kind of hosed. You had to go to Salt Lake City. They were the ones with the closest cancer center. And it was literally 5 weeks away from home to go through chemotherapy and radiation treatments. And you better hope that you could somehow manage to keep your rent paid and your lights on while you were gone. Oh, well, I'm glad I could be some comfort. Death isn't easy, and I don't think it's meant to be. I think the reason that death isn't easy and that it hurts so much is so that we will want heaven. We will want to get back. Yeah, they have a place you can stay there. Yeah, but that doesn't pay your rent back home. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you get heli to Columbus frequently. Yeah, I have a friend who lives in Columbus, actually, Columbus, Ohio. So, but yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to turn this into a let's talk about death stream, but it is real life. Death is part of real life, and that's what this is, real talk about real situations that everybody faces every single day. And cancer is a beast. It eats you literally from the inside out. The only thing about cancer that I will say that is a moderate positive is that it does do something that grants you wisdom, which is, scripture says, Lord, give us a heart. Oh, give us an awareness of time that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And that's what knowing you are facing your end does for you. It makes you aware of how precious time is and how important it is to spend it in a meaningful way. Something that God made me eminently aware of on Sunday and has been like hammering into my heart really is everything we do apart from him is a waste of time and energy and effort. And it's never going to bear fruit. It's never going to be productive. And it is taking you physically down, Timmy, but it is making you stronger. And God willing, it will help you purge yourself of some of those things, the internal things Because all of the illnesses we have externally are a reflection of internal things going on, spiritual things. It's a reflection of a spiritual reality. And we just have to figure out what it is God's trying to tell us by the sickness that we've got. What is it where, your stomach is afflicted and blocked up and not able to process? Well, what is it spiritually that you're afflicted and not able to process? Sometimes it's that we've been allowing things in our past to sit in our intestines for way too long. We haven't really churned through them and processed them the way we should have. And those things are killing us. And that it's true. The human response to pain, the natural human response to pain, the natural human response to being hurt is to one of three things. It's first, imagine we're all born on a battlefield, right? And rocks are being flung at us right, left, and center. That's sin in its nature. And we get hit by a rock, and one of the first tendencies we might have is to pick up that rock and fling it right back in the direction it came from. And we often end up hitting a completely innocent person rather than the person we were targeting, because the person we were targeting has moved on already. They may not even know they hit us. They may not have even purposely flung the rock at us. It just happened to hit our direction. And the second response we can have is to start stacking up those stones in this effort to build a wall around our hearts for protection. But sad thing is, the higher up that wall goes, the lonelier and more starved for love we become. The more isolated we are, and kind of like our heart is this prized rose bush that we're trying desperately to protect from kids riding bicycles over it or dogs peeing on it or whatever. And so we built the wall around that prized rose bush, but the higher we build the wall, the less light reaches the rose bush, and we start killing the very thing we're trying to protect. And so that's why that's not a really good strategy. That building a wall around your heart will kill you just as surely as anything else does. And then, the third strategy is that we take those rocks that got thrown our way and we put them in our emotional backpack. We're like, you know what? I'm not going to throw this back at anybody else. I'm just going to take it off the battlefield and keep it from hurting anybody else by holding on to it. And so we hold on to the pain, put it in our emotional backpack, and we eventually get ourselves so burdened with the past that we can't even begin to move forward. And the only rational, logical solution to the whole thing, I know I did say dong thing on YouTube, isn't that great? Clip that. Maybe YouTube won't like that, I don't know. I don't care. If YouTube doesn't like it, they can suck it. Any rate, the only thing that Christ gives us and allows us to do is he wants us to bring those stones to him. Whatever's hurt us, whatever guilt, shame, pain we're carrying, bring those to him. Because what he wants to do with them is help you crack it open. Find the gems of wisdom that are hidden in those incidents. Extract those so that you can use them to your advantage and the advantage of other people, and then throw away the debris. Oh, that's great. I'm so happy for you, Linda. Definitely being prayed. Definitely, I'm praying for you. Praying for you. You're twisted. Look, Timmy. Okay, seriously, you're connected to us. Everybody connected to us is twisted in some way. It's part of the human condition, my friend. And you have to be a little weird. Sorry, my foot was itching awfully. You have to be a little weird to hang out with us anyway. I come from a long line of crazy. Now, this is a true story. I want you to understand this. This is how crazy my life is. My parents literally met in a psych ward. Okay? That is not a joke. That is the actual, factual truth. My dad was a paranoid schizophrenic. My mom was the ward secretary. She knew what he had. She just thought she could fix it. I don't know which one of them was crazier. I joke, both of my parents were crazy. It was just that only one of them had the paperwork to prove it. How do you go about doing that, you know? But to be fair, my dad could be quite charming when he was on his medication. Hey, workshed. Yeah, you turned it at the right time. Every time is the right time. We got great stories here. How you doing, man? It's good to see you. We're just talking real life, real crazy. Anything you want to talk about is on the table. You got questions, you got life, you got things you want to talk about, just type it in the chat. We're all up here. So yeah, that's my story. My dad was not just a paranoid schizophrenic, he was a third generation paranoid schizophrenic. His dad was a paranoid schizophrenic. His dad's dad was a paranoid schizophrenic. And his great aunt was a paranoid schizophrenic too. I come from a long line of crazy on both sides, actually, but I will say that only my dad's side was aware of that fact. My mom's side was just as crazy. They didn't think they were. And I guess that's a sure sign of how crazy you are when you are crazy and you can't tell it. I went to a therapist one time for a very short time, back in 2016. Because I was dealing with some stuff and didn't know how to handle it. And at one point in time, like 4 sessions in, she had taken down my genealogy. She had listened to my stories. She looks up at me and she goes, I have a question. I said, okay. She said, how did you get to be so normal out of all of this? And I didn't have an answer for her at the time. But now I know how to answer her. I'm not normal, guys. I hear voices in my head. And yes, some of those voices do, in fact, want to kill other people. In fact, some of them want to kill the other voices in the head. But the difference is I am a socially acceptable form of paranoid schizophrenic because I just put the voices in my head on paper and entertain people with it and nobody minds. Yes. Yes, I did write Feels Like I'm Living in a Country Song. I also wrote, oh man, I guess technically, if I wanted to, that could be played. Oh my, yes, Feel Like I'm Living in a Country Song was one. I also have another one. Oh, let me go look at it. I can't even remember the title of it. And it's also a country song. I do occasionally write country songs. Sometimes I even sing them myself. Oh, gracious. But yeah, I'm not less crazy than my parents. It's just that I found socially acceptable outlets for crazy. I take all the voices in my head and I write them down on paper, and as long as I entertain people with them, nobody minds. And they don't try to put you in the psych ward. Because you can always claim, well, it's just fiction. Oh, yeah, stuff for sale. That's it. I'll pop them in the chat. You can give them a listen. No, my voices are sometimes quite not friendly. But it's okay, as long as when the voices in my head want to kill somebody, I just turn it into a character that, kills other characters. Nobody can complain too much about that. In fact, people pay you for it and they like it. How do you think you get serial killers and books and murderers and things like that? So that's my jam there. Coming up with ways to kill people. Yes, but It's all okay. I'm a writer. I'm not going to actually take action on it. That's the thing. That's the difference, you know. My dad, to be fair, was not really what I would call a super violent schizophrenic. Mostly when he was off of his drugs, he would think that he was Jesus Christ and that they were out to get him, and he would go pick up hitchhikers and bring them home. And that did not impress my mother nearly as much as you might think. Because she had 3 young kids at home and she wasn't sure these people weren't going to kill her. So, you know, there's that. My mom, she had mental issues. She, a lot of them. I think she was bipolar and undiagnosed at that. And she could just go from being laughing and happy and perfectly fine to being enraged beyond reason and on the turn of a dime. So, like I said, she was crazy too. She just didn't know she was crazy. She thought she was the normal one. But I'm sorry. When you meet a guy and your first thought is, I can fix that, you do not have a romance. What you have is a rehab project. And it's not fair to him and it's not fair to you because, truthfully, that is a rehab project you are going to be forever working on and it will never be finished. And he's not going to help you finish it because, quite frankly, you've just told him that he just destroyed his self-esteem. Basically, you're telling him he's never good enough for you. And it's just going to be a toxic mess and a toxic recipe for a relationship. And I don't say this from a lack of experience. I say this as someone who has lived that. And poor Ubi was subjected to all of that for years because I kept thinking the problem was him and not me. And, it wasn't until we'd been together for 18 years that I got the wake-up call to finally realize that, you know what? He's not the only one with problems. I got a few things going on in my head, too. I don't know why it is. It's so hard to spot our own garbage. So hard to spot our own garbage. We like to look at other people and say, hey, there's something wrong with you. And we don't realize that if we can spot it in them, it's because we've got it in us. So I try to remember that when I meet somebody or somebody around me is super irritating to me or has hurt me deeply for something, to remember that what I am catching a glimpse of is a reflection of part of me that I probably don't like. And if I can figure out how I am behaving that way or where I am behaving that way in my life, I will stop causing other people grief. Like one time, so I'm walking to church and my mom and I are on the phone and she's unhappy with me. We're having this disagreement over the phone. And mind you, she's 25 years older than I am. She ends the call by telling me, well, you should be better than I am. I'm like, what? How does that make any sense? And so, she gets off the call. I go into church, praying in the mass, and then I come out and I'm like, God, how is she right? Is she being valid? Is she being fair? Should I be better than her? And then he's like, no, honey, you're doing fine for 42. You're much further ahead than she was at your age. Not that you need to be comparing yourself to other people, but you're doing good. I'm like, great. All right. So I'm about to pat myself on the back, right? I'm about to give myself that self-congratulatory. And then I hear, so you know what your mom was doing to you? Yeah. You've been doing that to your husband. You want him to be where you are in your faith, but he's just a baby in his faith. And you keep expecting him to be where you are, and that is not fair to him. So stop doing that to him. You see how it feels? Don't do it to him. He's like, he's so afraid of disappointing you that he is no longer making progress in his faith. I need you to knock it off. So, and that's how God talks to me, okay? he's real with me, and I asked him to be real with me because truthfully and honestly, I am the kind of person that doesn't tend to get it until it's in big, bold, flashing neon letters, spelled out, plain and simple. And I actually put a short out there about that, you know. I am often quite stupid, which is just slow to understand, process, implement, and digest the things that other people are telling me. And God fixes stupid with simple. He shows me how to implement it with measurable, practical, literal examples. Oh no, don't worry about it. I was born with the initials BS, you know, uh, and when you're born with the initials BS, there's really about only three things you're ever going to be in life. You're either going to be a con artist, a politician, or a writer. And I chose to be the most honorable of those three occupations. I chose to be the writer. You know, con artistry, you sell people things that don't exist and places that'll never be and people that have never been. And you don't tell people up front. And that's why it's illegal. Because you're lying out your assets. And then, yes, a wise man once said, embrace the suck. And there's plenty of suck in this life. A politician sells you things that will never come to be, solutions that don't exist, people that may or may not exist. But it's okay. He gets away with it because he calls it a campaign promise and he can't be held accountable for it. I'm not sure how we let that one slide personally, but you know, that's our society. And then the writer sells you things that never happen, people that don't exist, and places that aren't real. But at least we put the warning label that this is fiction on it ahead of time so you know what you're being told ain't true. It's on you. And then, of course, BS, I married into BM. So I married into the Miller, right? And the only thing that it's a slightly classier version of BS. So from bullshit to bowel movement, it's great. Just married into the Miller, not the money though. Man. Not that I have any regrets about who I did marry. I don't. He was exactly perfect for me. He should have been, because I spent a whole summer praying for him to be put in my life. I started out the summer praying for Matt Anderson to be my husband because I had a super duper huge crush on that boy. I thought he hung the moon, and you know, though about 3 weeks before the end of the summer, I changed the prayer ever so slightly, and I don't know what made me do it. Changed the prayer ever so slightly and said, okay, God, well, if Matt's not the one for me, then show me who is. And even if it's somebody else, somebody that I've already met, he is classy. Classier than what I was born with. Hey, heck, he was definitely an upgrade. Any rate, and after school started, I got into the computer club, and there was Randy, and that day, I knew he was the one. And I went home, and I spent the only money I had, which we were always poor, so for me to have $15 and spend it, it meant something. I went home, took my $15 and spent it on 3 bridal magazines because I had a wedding to plan, my friends. I had a wedding to plan. And I was 13 years old. My mother was so mad at me. Not only was she mad that I was even thinking about marrying some boy, but she was mad. She felt like I'd wasted the money. She's like, you could have bought a subscription to a bridal magazine for that kind of money. And she's right. You know, the subscriptions for a full year were like $15. I said, yeah, but I wouldn't get variety. How can you make choices when you don't have enough variety? But as it turns out, we didn't even have a big wedding like that. We had the jailhouse. No, that should have been maybe justice of the peace at the courthouse wedding. Here we go. My mind clicked into gear. Oh, we had the justice of the peace at the courthouse wedding. That was it. And then we got the marriage convalidated in the Catholic Church that following May, so I could get confirmed. And the sad thing is, this is kind of a little off-color story. Back in that time period of my life, I had been molested when I was a kid, from age 4 until 9, when I put the man away. And so my concept of love centered around sex, because that's what I'd learned. And so when Ubi and I got serious about each other, the fear that temptation would come along and pull us apart, I was more afraid of abandonment than I was of infidelity. And so we decided to test an open relationship. That was proved to be a huge mistake. And any rate, but we were still in that period of testing out the open marriage thing. So while I am getting married in the Catholic Church, right, standing before the priest in front of Jesus, I have my fingers crossed behind my back as I'm saying the words that I promised to be faithful. Like, God couldn't see that. The amazing thing, Randy was afraid. He was an atheist at the time. He was afraid to step into the church because he was afraid God was going to strike him with lightning. His only experience with the church was basically weddings and funerals, so he didn't really have a relationship with God at all. And here I am. I don't know who the heck I thought I was fooling. It's so crazy. I can't believe I was doing that back then. I mean, really, the fact that we are still together as a couple is truly God's grace in action. It has not been us. And we have done everything humanly possible to destroy a relationship. And God has done everything divinely possible to keep that relationship together. Woo, and boy, has he had to work on us. Such a mess. And, you know, I look back on that time with deep regret for that, but recognizing that because of that experience, I have such a greater understanding of why God wants you to not go down that road and the consequences that can come if you do. So it's a lot easier for me to counsel younger people in why we need to not do that kind of crazy stuff. It's not good for your marriage. It's not good for you. And it's definitely not going to help anybody. Oh, no worries. It's okay, Timmy. I hope you get better, man. I'm just grateful you showed up. I'm grateful that you are part of our community. I am grateful to have had a chance to get to know you and to continue having a chance to get to know you. And I hope you get to feeling better tonight. But yeah, so you are now meeting, getting to know the crazy side of me. Woo! So yeah, it was definitely God who has walked me to this point in my life, where I can actually be a blessing to other people's lives instead of a massive, not blessing. I don't know what you'd call that. We were just a walking mess. Train wreck everywhere we went. I think we caused so many problems for people. And for ourselves. It wasn't just other people, you know. And for our poor son, he was along for that ride. You know, you think you're sheltering him, but you never do as good a job of sheltering your kids from what you're doing wrong as you think. At one point in time in kindergarten, we were still messing around with this stuff. You know, he told his kindergarten teacher he was going to have 12 wives and 144 kids. I was like, okay. I loved kids, man. I would have gladly had more if that had been what God wanted for me. When I worked at the nursing home, you know, I was struggling with secondary infertility, which is where you've had one kid naturally, but you can't get pregnant again. The nurses were all like, why don't you just, you know, get fertility treatment? I'm like, well, I want a kid, not a litter of kids. I want them to come the way God planned them to, not the way that the fertility drugs tend to cause them to show up. And I'm really glad that I decided not to do that, because there are horror stories associated with that stuff. And, you know, I think that probably would have caused so many more problems for us than it solved. And, but yeah, I know, deep, heavy topics. Not exactly what you signed up for, I suppose. Not trying. But every time I turn around, there's a topic that just goes dark or deep. So anybody got any suggestions for topics that are maybe a little less intense? I don't know. It is called Real Talk, though. It's just me talking about life. So if you've got any suggestions for topics, or you want to talk about anything in particular, you're more than welcome to pop them in chat. I was telling everybody I found that tourism coordinator position still open, so we'll see how that works. It would be great if Randy gets the job and I have a job. That definitely puts us in a much tighter, better financial position. Get us out of debt and maybe back on our feet solidly. Allow me to invest in some things. One thing I can talk about is I got a speaking engagement this week. I already had one lined up for the middle of May with the Independent Book Publishers Association. So I'll be giving a talk on grants, funding, and other opportunities for under-resourced publishers, indie publishers, in May 14th in Portland, Oregon. You guys are all, of course, welcome to join me. The tickets are less than $500, and that may sound like a lot of money, but when you talk about how much money it would save you over the long run, it's a bargain. Because you learn once and you can implement for the rest of your life. And then the whole conference is just under $1,000. And, you know, you get a chance to not only learn the ins and outs of indie publishing, but you also get the chance to network with some of the most educated and connected people in the industry, which is really good. And then my second speaking opportunity is going to be in Chicago, which is with the Catholic Writers Guild, their conference, their literary conference. And that one's only $150 to attend. And I'll be on a panel for marketing, because one of the things that I have learned to do is how to market on a $0 marketing budget. Why did I learn to do this? Because that's what I had in my pocket, $0. So I had to figure out strategies. And so I'll be on a panel sharing those strategies at the conference. That one's at the end of May. Let me look that up for sure. I need to add it to my website too. Which I do have, which is me, BrandyMMiller.com. Woohoo! I also have my 40-day writer's site back up. Thank goodness, because I was a little freaked out about that. Let's see, connect with Brandy. Yeah, see, oh, and that's where I was going to the Catholic Writers Guild. Their live conference. So excited about that. I love speaking. I love stages in general, actually. You can't tell, right? I don't at all love talking. Such a quiet individual. May 26th through May 28th. So right at the end of May. And yeah. They're gonna have all kinds of education stuff. So let's see. It's always a good time though, and they'll have publishers there that you can pitch to and things like that, which is awesome. But yeah, so those are two things that have come up this week, and I actually reminded myself, you know, last year I created this like 5-minute video about the Independent Book Publishers Association to help promote the conference and everything, and they loved it. They were grateful that I'd done it. I was dragging my feet on doing one again this year because it takes a little time to set up and a little time to adjust. And I really didn't feel like I had the time. And then I realized, you know what? I've figured out these YouTube shorts. Let me just put together a YouTube short and post it out there. And it's probably not the prettiest thing, but it'll do the job. I mean, who wants to look at this face, right? Seriously. All right. That should be a threat. Pay the money for the ticket or else I will show you the face. Oh my goodness. Craziness. Oh, so much is going on these days. Craziness all over the world. But I'm really happy with our community. Our community, the guitar community around Ubi is just incredible. You guys are amazing human beings. And I am so blessed to be given the opportunity to get to know you. And each one of you adds something special to my life just by being in it. And I hope you understand that. And if I can do anything for you in terms of anything you need, like things that I'm really good at, obviously writing, copywriting, marketing, we do websites, we do all kinds of stuff. So if you need help in that direction, you guys are more family than anything, and we will definitely be happy to help you in any direction you need it. I want nothing more than every person connected with us to thrive and prosper and become the star they were meant to be, you know, in whatever direction God planned them to be. And to the degree that we can support y'all in that journey, that is what we want. Oh, and thank you, Linda. Truly, I appreciate that offer. It means a lot. It means a lot to know that we have people out there that care enough that they would be willing to open their home to us, because that's really a lot these days, you know. I was joking with a car on Sunday, which we still need to register, but when you're poor, when you're in real poverty, there are actually 3 classes. There's a lower class of poverty, a middle class, and an upper class. The lowest class of poverty are the people sleeping on the streets because they have no relationship skills and they don't have any real friends. Those are the lowest class. They have no secure place for their belongings. They have no stability whatsoever. And they often don't have the ability, and quite often they are mentally or emotionally or spiritually traumatized, and they struggle to connect with anybody and to form relationships. So those are the poorest of the poor. The middle class are the couch surfers, those who have relationship skills enough that they do have friends. The friends might not be able to offer them a permanent place to live, but at least they have places to go and shower and stuff. Yeah. The upper class are the people with vehicles, because they can actually get to work sites and things and function as if they are normal in society. And so they are actually the top echelon, if you will, of the impoverished class. That's why a vehicle matters so much, because it's more than just mobility. It's a place to put your stuff. It's if you have to, it's a place to sleep. It's a measure of security and status, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so those things matter when you're down and out. And I'm grateful that we have a combination of all. We have a place to live right now. Even if that place is going away, we also have the ability to get to a job to get a new place with the car. And we have relationships with people who care about us. And that took a lot of growth and development on my part. I did not know how to have healthy, normal relationships because I came from such a dysfunctional background The only kind of relationships I knew how to have were strictly transactional. So I wasn't going to give you anything more or less than you gave me. Because that's how I was raised. Like, we don't give more than, we don't give. We just didn't. Our excuse for not giving was always we didn't have time. That was just BS. And the other excuse was we don't have money, which is also BS, because you can always give what you've got service wise. If you don't have money, you can always serve. And we didn't do any of that. My whole concept of community growing up was basically summarized with the Cheers theme song. They always know your name and they're always glad you came, because that was my entire experience with community. Church community began and ended at the church doors, as far as I knew. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s and we became part of the Worldwide Marriage Encounter community that I got introduced to what community is really meant to look like, where you pitch in for helping people with projects, and you are in the trenches serving with each other, and you embrace each other during life's most difficult moments, and walk with each other during the tough times, and you show up to serve. And I was blessed with several groups of that taught me how to be a more functional part of a community. And, also I was blessed with the fact that one day I was walking to work, and I was just super, super miserable. Just absolutely miserable. I was feeling so down on myself, comparing myself with everybody else, and all I could see was all the things that I didn't have and all the things I hadn't achieved. And I told God when I got to work, I was like, God, I just need something. Give me something, because I just don't feel like my life is worth anything. And I walked into work and I opened the Bible, and it fell open to Matthew 8:20, where Jesus is telling the person who wants to come follow him, foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head. And that led me to ask myself a very important question. Would I consider Jesus to be a failure? Because if I was measuring him by the same standard I'd been using to measure myself for success, then yes, he was. He didn't own a home. He had to borrow the ass on which he rode into Jerusalem. The upper room was borrowed. He relied on money and food given to him by strangers. He didn't have a regular job. So he definitely didn't have any titles or degrees. In fact, the Pharisees and Sadducees kept calling him out on that. Like, by what authority do you teach? So he was not, by society's standards, a success in any measure. And yet, I worked for a Fortune 500 company that spent $2 billion a year. And this was in 2009. $2 billion a year, trying to gain a fraction of the traction that Jesus Christ gained using 12 relatively uneducated guys from the backwaters of the Roman Empire on a $0 marketing budget. And I would definitely consider him a success. He pioneered the multi-level marketing method of each one teach one, right? And that is how he spread his message throughout the globe. There is literally not a single continent on which his name has not been spoken, not a single country in which his name is not known. And he did all of that on a $0 marketing budget. And I said, well, if he can do that, and hey, guess what? The guy's been dead for 2,000 years, and people are still singing his jingles, seeking his teachings, and paying to learn more from him. So, would I consider him a failure? Heck no. He's the greatest marketing genius there ever was. So I decided, you know what? If Jesus is if Jesus is a success and he didn't have all the stuff that society tells me I need to have to be a success, then the problem with my life isn't that I'm not a success, it's that I'm using the wrong measuring stick for success. And so that led me to shift gears. And I asked myself, okay, well, what measuring stick was Jesus using for success? And I noticed that everywhere he went, he focused on building relationships. So as the quality and quantity of relationships that he built with other people was his measurement for success. And if that was his measurement, then I was going to make that my measurement too. And so that's what I started focusing my life on doing, was learning how to build long-term healthy relationships with other people. And of course, that's what Christianity teaches you how to do. Build healthy long-term relationships with other people. If you actually follow God's rules, it works. And it works well. Most of us don't follow the playbook, though. We're picking and choosing what parts we want, and that never works. So, all right, guys, I am going to go ahead and wrap up. I thank you all for being with me. I hope I haven't talked your ear off too much. If you ever have suggestions for what you'd like to talk about in the next Real Talk, you are free to put them in the chat, or you can email me at 40daywriter@gmail.com. I am always